Hello everyone, I am Ms. Saili Jadhav, the Department of Civil Engineering. So here we are learning our subject contracts and accounts. Okay, so in last lecture we are learned the types of contracts, then BOT projects. There are various types of contracts comes for constructing any type of work or managing the work. Okay, if we take a contract, then and then only we can start our project and construction work. Okay, so here in chapter 3 we are learning tender and tender documents. The weightage is 16. Now tender and tender documents. So you see newspaper. In that newspaper there are various types of tender are comes in last pages. Okay, so the tender, what is the tender? If we took a tender, then and then only we can start our project, our work. Okay, we got that projects. Okay, so here we are learning the tender and which tender documents we have to be used. Okay, so that is the necessity and its types. Then the terms used in tenders like earnest money, security deposit, validity period. Okay, for the construction of buildings, which tenders are invited for the daily newspaper. All these are learning in this chapter. Okay, so let us start. First, tender. So what is exactly the tender? So tender is an offer in writing from a contractor to execute some specified work or a supply of material for certain payment of money. Okay, so the tender, first one, the tender has to be written. It is a written offer. Okay, we are offering a written contract or written tender or contractor. Okay, so the contractor are include and execute the specified work or supply of material with a certain payment of money. That is your tender. So this work may be supply of material, transportation of material, work as per specification. So in this tender these works has to be comes. That is your supply of material, supply of labors, transportation materials. Okay, so this is your tender. Now next one, necessity of tender. So what is the necessity? Why we need this tender? So tenders are invited because once the owner has decided to proceed with the work and when all the preliminaries are completed. Okay, so for execute the work as per specification and drawing. Okay, then it is a legally this is attempt to be ascertain if offer can be received from interested builders to execute the work within the estimated limit of time and finance. In this tender, the estimated time and finance is important. If contractor has to be satisfied with that estimated time and that estimated money and time, then and then only he has to be participate of that tendering process, and he got that tender, and after that he constructing that piece of work or any type of construction or the materials supply within with using of specifications. Okay, now next one is types of tender. Now what is types of tenders? There are lots of tenders comes in newspaper also, in internet also. If there now there is a internet world. Okay, so in internet and daily newspaper or internet newspaper, all these are comes. Okay, so there are various types of tender has to be published. So the first one is local tender, then global tender, third one open tender, fourth one is limited tender, and fifth one is negotiated tender. Okay, so in local tender, what is local tender? So the local tender which is published locally, so the peoples are living in their nearer areas, that people only are included on that tender, or that people only took a part in that tenders. Okay, that is your local tender. Now the next one is global tender. So this type of tender which is published internationally circulated news. Okay, means international contractors, international global contractors are included on this, participate in that tenders. Okay, only not only one country, all countries are come participated for these tenders. Okay, which are published internationally. Newspapers and in firm or a contractor around the world can feel the tender. Such tenders are invited for very large project as a construction of airports, tunnels, express, highways. Okay, now the next one is open tender. Now the open tender is the type of tender which are the contractor can enter in competition and all get opportunity to fill the tender. It is also ensures the minimum cost for public works by securing competition. Okay, now the fourth one is limited tender. So the limited tender means it is the type of tender which the architects invite the limited number of contractors for filling up the tenders as per specialization of his project. Okay, now the fifth one is negotiated tender. Now the negotiated means in which the price to be paid for work is negotiated with a single contractor. Negotiated means the people we are known, settlement type of tender. So he gives only that member and complete the work from that contractor. That is why here we learn the price to be paid for the work negotiated with a single contractor. There are no type of competition, no newspaper type, only the contractor we are known, we tell us this is your contract, you have to be done. Okay, so he is interested, he is participate on that tender. That is your negotiated tender. So this procedure is adopted when the owner or a department have a confidence and faith in the firm and knows integrity and his reliability and the work within the special scope and experience of the firm. If he is experienced, then and then only he gives his tender to the contractor. Okay, so these are the types of tenders. Okay, now the next one is points to be included while drafting a tender notice. In this chapter we are learning also how to write a tender. So the points has to be included while writing a tender. First one, this is the formal type of tenders. Okay, so we can't write like an essay. Okay, write formally with points, which points we have to be right and which is not are formally given here. Okay, so first one is while writing a tender, the first point comes name of the authority inviting the tender. Means this helps the contractor to know the person under whom has to work and cooperation he has to receive during the execution of work. Now the second one is name of the work and its location. First write the name of the authority, then second write name of the work. This is the proper format of writing a tender notice. Okay, why we writing a tender notice? For invite contractor. Okay, for inviting that contractor to participate this tender. Okay, so this is the format. Second one is name of the work and its location. So the two factor is important. Some contractor are specialized in particular work only, such as road or building work, etc. The name of the work will help to access whether the work is too small or too big or within the further details. Okay, third one is estimated cost. So the estimated cost is the volume of works and enables the contractor to see whether there is a work is too small or too big and is within his capacity. Okay, now the fourth one is time limit. The time for completion of work will enable the contractor to work out details of machines and workmen required for the work. Then if a time limit and penalty also you have to be applied if your work is delayed. Okay. Then the fifth one is earnest money required along with the tender. When you entering the tender process, or when you accepting that tender, or when you interested in that tender, okay, the earnest money is required. So you make sure that the contractor is really interested in the work. A security in the form of earnest money is required to be paid along with the tender. So this earnest money is required to be paid along with that tender, and form of security acceptance means that is your draft cash, check, bank guarantee or treasure should be specified. That is your earnest money means he is interested or not, या फिर वो टाइम पास के लिए ही ऐसे ही डाला, ये हम लोग को देखने के लिए हम लोग earnest money we have to be put, okay, with that tender. If when you filling your tender, the earnest money is to be must. Then the availability of data and forms. Okay, so complete information regarding the place and the form, the blank tenders and other data are available should be mentioned. The last date, place and time of receipt of the tender. All these facts should be mentioned in the text. That is your last date, what time and what place the tender has to be open or tender has to be accepted. These are the facts you have to written. Then the right to reject the tender. So in this, the authority should make it clear that the right to reject any or all tenders without assigning any reason thereof is reserved. If authority has to be reject your tender, he has to be full rights. Okay, the advertisement should be comprehensive and accurate. From the legal point, it is advisable to include the copy of advertisement as a part of tender document. Okay, that is why he has to reject and write, he has to write to reject the tender for authorities. Okay, so in next lecture we are learning drafting the tender notice. Okay, so here we are learning the types of tender, what is the necessity of tender, why we filling the tender, what is the format for inviting the tender or notice inviting tender. All these are the points includes while drafting a tender notice. Okay, thank you.